Have you ever watched her walk away with a smirk, as if you were the fool and she was the victor? She posts smiles and laughs louder now, as if losing you was the reward. And you wonder, did she really feel nothing? Was I just a stepping stone in her story of self-celebration? But here's the truth. What you see is not peace, it's performance. It's what psychologists call reactive self-narration, a defense mechanism to mask inner doubt with outward control. The louder she flaunts her freedom, the more desperately she's trying to convince herself she made the right choice. And while she's busy proving something to the world, you're about to do something far more powerful, prove something to yourself. Not by chasing, not by explaining, but by turning inward, mastering the one thing she never expected: your emotional detachment. This isn't about revenge, it's about evolution. Because when a man stops needing to be validated by the one who left, he becomes unforgettable. Not for what he said, but for who he quietly became. If you're ready to reclaim your center and let your growth speak louder than her pride, hit like, subscribe, and comment below. I rise without needing to be seen. Let's begin. Number 1, she's not coming back. And that's exactly why you will. Right now, your mind may still wander, replaying old conversations, rewriting endings that never happened. You imagine her one day realizing her mistake, knocking at your door with soft eyes and overdue apologies. But here's the brutal truth: she's not coming back. And that silence you've been drowning in, that is your answer. You're not alone in hoping she'd return, not because you're weak, but because your heart still lingers in a version of the past that no longer exists. It's not love you're stuck in, it's the idea of being chosen again. But this is where the Stoic wakes up. According to Epictetus, some things are in our control and others not. Her choice is not yours to rewrite. Her silence is not a pause. It's the period at the end of the sentence. This pain you're feeling isn't proof that you lost someone valuable. It's proof that you've wrapped your worth around someone who left. That's not heartbreak. That's a dependency coming undone. And now, the shift begins. You stop fighting reality, not because it's fair, not because it feels good, but because acceptance is the first act of power. Stoicism doesn't ask you to like what happened, but to stop resisting it. Accepting her absence as final means you stop negotiating with the past. You stop waiting for closure that will never come. You stop needing her to return to feel whole again. The opportunity is hidden in the grief. Her silence can become your space. Her departure, your mirror. You now have room to rebuild. Not just your confidence, but your center. Every time your mind spirals back to her, take that moment as a cue you've strayed from your path. Return, reclaim, recenter, start with action. Delete the old texts. Mute her social media. Write down what you've learned. And every time you want to reach out, use that urge as fuel. Hit the gym. Start a project, meditate, or build something new. Replace longing with movement. Replace fantasy with reality. Psychologically, this act of detachment breaks the cycle of internal reward linked to emotional pain. You're no longer feeding the loop of, maybe she'll return. You're feeding your evolution. You go from victim to creator. Slowly, her silence began to echo less. Not because you stopped feeling, but because you started healing. And when she finally looks back, and she will, it won't be to find the man she left. It will be to find someone she no longer has access to. Not because you closed the door in anger, but because you've walked so far forward, it no longer matters. If you've accepted the truth and you're ready to rise without her right this now, her silence was my turning point, not my prison. Number 2. The pain you feel isn't love. It's attachment breaking. Right now, the ache in your chest feels unbearable. You call it heartbreak. You convince yourself it's because you loved her so deeply. But look closer. This pain, sharp, persistent, paralyzing, isn't love. Its attachment is unraveling. The crash happens when you build your inner world on someone else's presence. You didn't just lose her. You lost a version of yourself that only felt alive in her reflection. And that's why it hurts. Stoicism teaches us not to reject emotion, but to understand it. As Seneca said, we are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality. You're not grieving her absence. You're grieving the identity you attached to her existence. The man who was only calm when she was near. The man who only felt worthy when he was chosen. But this is where you begin to reclaim your power. Pain is not your enemy, it's your data. It shows you where you've overinvested emotionally, where you've outsourced your peace. And now you get to use that pain like fire, burning away illusions. Her silence didn't ruin you. It revealed what parts of you were built on sand. This is the truth. No one tells you healing starts when you stop labeling your suffering as proof of love. You were never meant to be held together by another human being. You were meant to stand independent, clear, whole. And what's collapsing now, that's everything that wasn't. So take action. Stop analyzing the past. Start observing the present. Where do your thoughts go when you're alone? Where do your fears try to drag you? Catch those patterns. Write them down. Challenge them. Every craving to check her social media, to send a message, to imagine her with someone else, catch it and redirect it. Replace that mental energy with purpose. Train, learn, work, build something. Channel every ounce of emotional chaos into forward motion. Not to distract yourself, but to discipline yourself, to show your nervous system, I am not defined by who stays or leaves. Psychologically, this rewires your association with pain. You stop fearing it and start using it. You stop trying to run from it and begin asking, what is this teaching me about my dependence? And in that question, freedom begins. This isn't coldness, it's clarity. You still have a heart, but now it beats on your terms. You can miss her and still move forward. You can feel the ache and still not answer it. That's not denial, that's power. If you've ever mistaken emotional collapse for love, and you're ready to rise, say it now. This isn't heartbreak, it's my rebirth. Number 3, when silence becomes the most powerful move you'll ever make. You want to speak, to explain, to ask, to remind her of everything you shared. But each time your fingers hover over the screen, something deeper inside, you know saying more won't bring her back. It will only push your dignity further out of reach. So instead, you choose silence. Not out of spite, but out of strength. That silence. It's not a passive absence. It's a deliberate boundary. A declaration that your energy is no longer available for someone who treated it as optional. And in that stillness, something incredible happens. The power shifts. You see, silence isn't weakness, it's tension. And tension is unforgettable. It leaves a question mark hanging where she expected a period. It creates a mystery of where predictability once existed. And most of all, it forces her to sit with herself without the comfort of your validation. From a Stoic view, This is the embodiment of self-command. As Marcus Aurelius taught, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. You no longer estimate her silence as rejection. You honor it as redirection. You stop interpreting her distance as a problem to solve and begin treating it as space to reclaim yourself. The truth is, silence affects both of you. For her, it creates doubt. It pulls her inward, forces her to wonder why the script changed. For you, it creates order. It draws the line between what was and what will be. You stop reacting, you start choosing. And that decision begins to rebuild your sense of identity, not in reaction to her absence, but in devotion to your peace. Take the space. Cut off contact. No soft check-ins. No stories watched. No, just one more message. Imposing silence isn't cruelty, it's clarity. It's refusing to let breadcrumbs manipulate your emotions. It's trusting that your absence will speak more than your words ever could. Psychologically, this disarms emotional power plays. When someone expects you to break the silence, and you don't, they feel the loss, not just of you, but of control and that quiet discomfort. That's where reflection begins, not in you, but in her. You're not doing this to get her attention. You're doing it to rebuild your center. The longer you maintain your silence, the more peace it brings. It becomes a practice of self-respect, of emotional detachment, of spiritual grounding. And one day when she wonders what happened to the man who used to chase, she won't find desperation, she'll find discipline. If you've ever stayed silent to protect your dignity, write this now. My silence isn't emptiness, it's a boundary she can't cross anymore. Number 4, calm is the new power, and that's why she feels it now. You used to react, a cold message. You'd send 3 to make up for it. A withdrawal, you'd lean in harder. You believed love was proven through emotional urgency, but urgency isn't strength, it's surrender. It's placing your inner world in someone else's unstable hands. And she felt that, even if you didn't say it, your energy confessed it. Until one day, you stopped. You didn't stop caring. You stopped collapsing. You didn't stop feeling. You stopped letting those feelings override your frame. And that shift, that calm, that was the moment she started noticing you again, but not in the way you hoped, in the way that made her wonder, what changed? This is where Stoicism meets attraction. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." And once you stopped reacting to her silence tests and tone shifts, you reclaimed that power. You became unshakable, not by force, but by stillness. The world is noisy. People are emotional hurricanes trying to pull others into their chaos. But when you remain calm, deliberately and consistently, you signal, "I'm not here to be swayed, I'm here to stand." And here's what's even more powerful. Calm is rare. It's unsettling. In a culture that glorifies overexpression, your composure becomes magnetic. You're no longer fighting for attention. You are the attention. Your restraint becomes a presence. Your non-reaction becomes pressure. Because now she can't read you. And what she can't read, she rethinks. Practically, this looks like listening when she expects defensiveness, smiling when she tests your pride, pausing when she demands a response, and most of all, not responding at all when the situation doesn't deserve your energy. Psychologically, this removes the reward loop. When people act out, they expect a reaction. It validates their control. But when you remain grounded, they're left with their own echo. And in that echo, they realize something: you're not the man she once managed emotionally. She feels the absence of chaos in your energy now. And that absence, it's power. Not loud, not desperate, just undeniable. You've become a mirror, not a sponge, reflecting her behavior instead of absorbing it, choosing your response instead of defaulting to emotion. And that kind of man, calm, composed, self-contained, isn't just rare. He's unforgettable. If you've ever held your center while the world tried to pull you off balance, write this now. My calm is my command, and she feels it now more than ever. Number 5, self-improvement isn't revenge, it's liberation. You could have tried to get even and made her jealous. She showed him what she lost, and for a moment, maybe you did. But that path always leads to emptiness, because revenge still keeps her at the center of your story. And Stoicism teaches us, no one deserves that power but you. So you chose something harder, something real. You chose to rise, not as a performance, but as a principle. You stopped checking if she watched your stories. You stopped shaping your routine around what might impress her. You turned inward to your health, your skills, your mind. Not because you wanted her back, but because you were tired of building your identity in her absence. You wanted to build it for yourself. Finally, this is the shift that changes everything. When you begin to grow, not out of spite, but out of self-respect, you leave her shadow for good. You no longer need her to notice, because the man you're becoming, he notices. He feels it in his discipline routines and way his energy no longer leaks in 1,000 directions. As Epictetus taught, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. You stopped dreaming of her return and started visualizing your own potential. And then you executed, not in desperation, in devotion. Your body changed, your energy sharpened, your conversations deepened. You no longer needed to fill the silence with validation. You filled it with purpose. And people noticed, they always do, because growth speaks without words. And the woman who once left you behind, she sees it too, but you don't look back anymore. That's the irony. The more you grow in silence, the louder your presence becomes, and that presence doesn't whisper regret. It declares renewal. You don't need her to see what she lost. You need you to see what you've gained. Psychologically, this is the end of emotional dependency. You're no longer defined by who chose or abandoned you. You're defined by the man who chose himself. Every action, every book read, every rep pushed, every hour focused is a rebellion against the version of you that once waited for closure. And now, you are the closure. Not because you figured her out, but because you figured yourself out. If you've ever risen in silence and made your pain your path, write it now. I didn't grow to win her back. I grew to never need her again. Number 6, the past doesn't deserve your peace. She's not here anymore, but in your mind, she never left. Her name still lingers in your thoughts. Her voice still haunts quiet moments. You replay memories, like sacred scripts, hoping to find a different ending. But here's the truth, you're bleeding energy into a past without closure. It's not love that's holding you hostage, it's nostalgia. A selective kind of memory that edits out the wounds and highlights only the warmth. But make no mistake, she doesn't build this prison. It's built by your willingness to revisit what no longer serves you. Stoicism offers no sympathy for illusions, As Marcus Aurelius put it, you have power over your mind, not outside events. And right now, your greatest betrayal isn't her leaving. It's your own mind dragging you back into a version of life that doesn't exist anymore. You're fighting ghosts while your real life starves. The cure isn't forgetting her. It's feeding your present so well that your past loses flavor. Whenever you think of her, that energy leaks from your future. Whenever you fantasize about what could have been, you rob what can still become. This is why your healing has stalled, not because you're weak, but because your attention is misplaced. So redirect it immediately. Start with your habits. Replace reflection with creation. Don't sit with old photos. Make new memories. Move your body. Clean your space. Fill your mind with wisdom, not what-ifs. You don't need another replay. You need a rebuild. And when your mind drifts, as it will, don't fight it with force. Observe it, smile at it, then bring it back to the only thing that exists now. Not her timeline, not your history. Now, your breath, your purpose, your path. Psychologically, this is emotional decluttering. When you stop feeding mental images of her, they fade. Not all at once, but enough to release you from their grip. It's not forgetting, it's rebalancing. It's choosing peace over obsession. She will come to mind. That's okay, but she no longer belongs in your decisions. Your peace is too precious to be sacrificed on the altar of memory. If you've ever battled the echo of a love that left, and you're ready to reclaim your presence, write it now. My peace isn't up for trade, not even for memories. Number 7. Emotional detachment isn't coldness, it's clarity. They'll tell you you've changed, that you're distant now, colder, less emotional. And for a moment you might wonder, have I shut down? Have I become too hardened? But the truth is far simpler and far more powerful. You've stopped investing where there's no return. What they call cold, Stoicism calls clarity. You're no longer reacting to every message, no longer bending your truth to keep a connection. No longer holding on to people who treat your presence as a convenience. You've learned to detach, not because you've stopped feeling, but because you finally know what deserves your energy. Detachment isn't the absence of love. It's the presence of self-respect. As Epictetus taught, freedom is the only worthy goal in life, and it is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Her emotions, decisions, and distance are not your domain. Your domain is you. And when you stop trying to manage what's outside your hands, you finally master what's inside. This isn't emotional numbness. You still feel everything. You just don't act on every wave. You observe the tides of your mind without letting them steer the ship. That's not detachment, it's discipline. And when she comes back, not always to love, sometimes to test, you don't flinch. You don't open the gate just because someone knocks. You assess, you pause, you protect what you've rebuilt. Because you know now, not everyone deserves re-entry just because they missed the warmth of your peace. Practically, this means responding slowly, speaking less, and watching more. It means knowing the difference between forgiveness and access, between being kind and being available. You're no longer obligated to overextend yourself for someone who once couldn't even meet you halfway. Psychologically, this recalibrates your emotional balance. You stop living in reaction to people's presence or absence. You start choosing, not because you're bitter, but because you're finally awake. They don't know what to do with this version of you. The one who doesn't chase, who doesn't explain, who doesn't crave to be understood. because he already understands himself. That's the man who leaves an imprint, not by force, but by absence of need. If you've ever chosen detachment over emotional chaos, write this now. I'm not cold, I've just stopped offering warmth to hands that let it go. Number 8. When her regret arrives, but you're already gone. One day, she'll feel it. Maybe it's when someone new holds her, and it doesn't feel the same. Maybe it's during a quiet night, scrolling through memories she once dismissed. Maybe it's after one too many empty connections, but the realization will come. You were real, and she let you go. She'll feel a sharp pull, a twinge in the chest. You're still chasing her, not because your name no longer circles her orbit. You're not liking her stories. You're not texting her happy birthday. You've vanished, not in anger, but in evolution. That's when regret arrives, but it's not yours to carry, it's hers. By the time she feels the weight of your absence, you'll be too far gone. Not because you hate her, but because you've healed. You'll have filled your life with purpose, routine, new connections, and quiet confidence. You won't need her back to feel complete. Because you'll no longer be the man who once needed to be chosen, you became the man who chose himself. This is the reward of Stoic growth. As Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." And you've stopped wasting time, waiting for validation from someone who couldn't see your value the first time. You used her departure not as an excuse to spiral, but as a reason to ascend. You focused on building, not explaining. You poured your energy into progress, not proving. And now, even if she returns, it's not the same, because the you she once knew, he's gone. And here's the truth. The most powerful version of closure is not a final conversation. It's becoming the man she can no longer access. Not because you locked the door, but because you outgrew the room. Psychologically, this is the turning point where your emotional dependency dissolves. Her approval, attention, and even her apology hold no weight anymore. You've detached not with resentment, but with respect for her path and for your peace. So when that day comes, and it will, when she feels the ache of realizing what she lost, you won't feel victorious. You'll feel nothing. Not because you're cold, but because you're free. If you've ever outgrown someone's regret and left without bitterness, say it now. By the time she missed me, I had already become someone new. Number 9. When she returns, just to see if she still owns you. It might start with a hey, a story reaction, a casual message that seems innocent, but it's not. It's a test, not of love, but of power. She's not coming back because she's ready to rebuild. She's coming back to see if the door is still open, to see if you are still open, and if you're not grounded, you'll mistake this test for a second chance. But this is where the Stoic path becomes razor sharp. You don't respond with hope. You respond with awareness. She's not reaching for your heart. She's reaching for your vulnerability. She wants to know, can I still pull him back when I want? Does he still need my attention to feel whole? And the answer now is no, because you've built your peace without her. You've stopped using her presence as a compass. You've sat in the silence and walked through the fire. You no longer see her return as redemption. You see it as noise, echoes from a past you no longer live in. According to Epictetus, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid about external things. And yes, others may think you're cold for not engaging, or that you're arrogant for ignoring her olive branch, but you're not here to soothe her ego. You're here to protect your growth. So when she reappears, you don't lash out, you don't explain, you remain still, measured, detached. You don't need to prove that you've moved on. You simply have moved on. And that energy, it confuses her, it unsettles her, because the control she once had over your emotions is gone. Practically, this means you don't initiate. It's brief, neutral, and contained. If you respond at all, you don't ask how she's been. You don't rehash the past. You don't reopen a door that your healing worked so hard to close. Psychologically, this is the test of emotional sovereignty, and when you pass it, you don't just win her respect, you win yourself back completely. She may never admit why she came back, but deep down, both of you know it wasn't love. It was curiosity, and she found her answer in your silence. If you've ever stayed detached when the past came knocking, write this now. She came to test me, but I didn't need to prove a thing. Number 10. Becoming the man she can never replace. You don't want her back anymore. Not really. Not the way you once did. What you want now is far more powerful: to become the man who outgrows needing anyone to validate his worth. The man who doesn't just move on, but moves up, and in doing so becomes unforgettable. Not to prove anything to her, but to fulfill everything within himself. You no longer need revenge, or closure, or even to be remembered. Because you've made peace with what was, and poured your pain into who you're becoming and who you're becoming. That's the part she never saw coming. You're no longer the man waiting for a text to breathe. You're waking up earlier, training harder, and thinking clearly. You've stopped watching life from the sidelines of someone else's story and started writing your own. And that shift, that's not a glow-up, it's a transformation. Stoicism taught you this. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one Marcus Aurelius, and now you live that truth. You show it in the way you walk, in the way you speak, in the fact that you don't need anyone's validation to feel whole. And here's the paradox: she will remember you. Not because you chased her, but because you didn't. Not because you begged her to see your value, but because you built it, embodied it, and never looked back. You became irreplaceable the moment you stopped trying to be unforgettable. Psychologically, this is called self-authorship. You've taken the pen back, you've reclaimed your narrative, and once a man reaches this stage, no one, not even the one who broke him, can define him again. So keep going, keep rising in silence, keep mastering your mind, keep doing the boring, hard, unsexy work of building a life so aligned with purpose that no one becomes the center of it, but you. And one day, if she ever looks across a crowded room or a screen and sees the man you've become, it won't be to ask for another chance. It will be to wonder, how did I ever lose him silently? But it won't matter by then, because you'll be too far gone. Not out of reach, but beyond needing to be reached. If you've ever chosen purpose over the past, write it now. I became unforgettable by becoming unavailable to the man I used to be. She thought she won because you didn't fight for her. She thought your silence meant surrender. But now she's realizing that the real loss wasn't your attention, it was your absence. While she celebrated short-term pride, you chose long-term power. She tried to win the moment, you chose to win yourself. And when her noise fades and the crowd disappears, she'll be left alone with one haunting realization. You didn't chase, you didn't beg, and that's why you're the one she'll cry for. If you're ready to keep building without needing applause like this video, subscribe and comment, I am the piece she couldn't keep. Stay silent, stay focused, and let her tears speak the truth she could never say.